Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions will be listed below. There's a link to my online store if you'd like to buy any of these products. There is a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that, where you can share the projects you've made. There is my email address if you have any questions or want to see something made on this channel. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and help me grow in YouTube world. Today, we're going to be playing with Abundant Beauty decorative masks. They're in the mini catalog on page 77. We will, I still can't show you the catalog. I can on Wednesday, but not today. So anyhow, I want to show you the masks. There is a fall mask. There is like a houndstooth mask. Could be bats. There is a snowflake mask. And then there is 4 masks that make beautiful sunflowers. And we're going to be playing with those today. So let me move those out of my way. And let me show you what we're making. These are just a few samples I was playing with. And these are all anniversary cards. This one and this one are the same colors. It's just slightly different versions of those colors because you never know quite what you're going to get. And then I made a purple one. I figured, why not? I looked on Google and for colors of sunflowers, and I found some that were all different colors. So I figured, why not? Go for it. You can make your flowers any color you want. So we are going to set these aside. Now, you should know that these have a notch in to show you which way to go, and they are numbered 1 through 4. They're right here. You can't see them, I know, on the camera, but they are numbered, and when you look in person, you can see them. So you know which way is up and what direction everybody goes. So I'm going to start with a 1/4 sheet of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to put it in the grids here and line it up. And what I'm going to use... This is, you can use washi tape or any kind of low-tack tape. And I'm going to put a piece. Now, I made this bigger than we're going to need. We're going to be cutting it down. But I need to be able to hold it in place. So I'm just doing just a little 1/8 inch across the top there, roughly. So we know we'll be cutting it. The next thing we do is we place number 1 mask in here. And you've got to decide where you want it. And... you know, you don't have to put it straight. You can go this way or that way, whatever way you want. I want to go up towards the top a little further. About like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more of this tape. And we're going to put a piece up here. And a piece at the bottom. You're still going to hold this mask when you're working, but you don't want it sliding on you, because if it slides and the paper slides, then you've got a problem. The other thing I'm going to do, I found very helpful, is this notch tells you where to line up the next mask or stencil, whatever you want to call it. So I'm putting one down here at the bottom and where that notch is. So when I put the next one on, if I line up the mask exactly where it goes, I'll be lined up perfectly. I'm also going to, first part we're going to use Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, and Cajun Craze. We are going to use one brush for all these colors. And we're really not going to clean a whole lot in between. And we're going to use blocks to put the ink on. That way we don't accidentally contaminate the lighter colors, because we are starting with a darker color. You are going to need some paper towel. Paper towel. I have some wet wipes, and I have my Stampin' Scrub to wipe off the blocks as we go. So we're going to start with the Cajun. And instead of taking the brush, like I almost did, to the Cajun, I'm going to put ink on the block. Because I have been using this, and so I don't want to contaminate the colors. And I actually do this quite often, even when I'm not using the same brush, because I can see how much ink I'm getting onto that brush. And you can start off, tap off a little bit on the side, or you can tap off here. And we're just going to go right in a little circle, right around the center here. And I want to make this one a little darker than the last one I made, but a little lighter than the first one. Like I said, no two will ever turn out the same. I think I want a little more ink. I said this is a great way to do your ink. That way you don't have it all over. Like I said, you can tap off over here or out here. Just don't want any big blobs. Oop, got a little heavy over there, but that's okay. And I'm going in both directions, so I make sure I get the definition on each of those. Pick up a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Like I said, no two will turn out the same. So now, the next color is going to be the pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is I've got my Stampin' Scrub right here. I'm just going to take and wipe that off a little bit and set it off to the side and let it dry. I've got a couple different blocks here. I'm going to grab the pumpkin. I'm going to take the paper towel. This will not hurt your brush. We're just brushing off some of that Cajun Craze. And you can see how much we're getting off. So it's not as bad. So we don't, like I said, we don't want too much Cajun Craze over the pumpkin, but we don't want Cajun Craze in our pumpkin. Or if you have enough, brushes for every single color, then you could do, use different brushes. I don't. So I'm just going to go in here and add some pumpkin. I could tell I'm going to need more pumpkin. The other thing is you're going to have wet ink on your stencil or your mask, whichever you want to call it. I call them stencils. So that's the other reason I like to do this. Like I said, I'm going in circles both directions. That looks pretty good. And so you can add as much ink as you want. And do the same thing. I'm just going to wipe that off. Set it over here. I just have three of them, but you can only need two. Works fine too. I'm going to brush off a little bit of that ink. And flip it over too. And now I'm going to grab the daffodil. And we'll load up the brush with the daffodil. Now we'll be coming back to these colors to do the inside and the matte in a little bit. Actually, I want more daffodil. I want my daffodil to be quite dark on here, because it is a bright, vibrant color. And the others are not as bright and cheery. There we go. Now I'm going around the outside. Just going in both directions. You see how the daffodil going around and covering up the other two colors brings out the color in them. I think I want just a little bit more of that. Oh, did what I said not to, but we had mostly daffodil at that point. I want a little brighter. Like I said, you go both directions, so you make sure you get into each of the crevices well. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty even. So now, I clean that off. And we are going to lift this up. Now, I know it's going to stick to the paper down here, so I'm just pulling it back like that, just to save me some time. And there we go. So that's the first one. And then you can just take this is just a baby wipe. And now the Cajun Craze is dark, and you can see I'm turned a little pink in areas, just like photopolymer stamps. It will change color, but it will not hurt. So we're just going to set him aside because we're not done with him yet. So we just wipe him off a little bit. Next, we need number 2. The number 2 is the leaves. So I'm going to line up my things right here. So I have my 2 spots lined up. Push that one back and grab this one and put it over here. Grabbing a different brush for this. I've got one for the greens. And we're going to start with Old Olive first. And I'm going to grab a block for Old Olive. I don't want them too dark, so let's just see what we've got here. And you notice this is hanging over a little bit. You're going to be cutting a little of this off, so it's fine if it's hanging over. If you want to make a bigger card, you can, and, you know, go from there. I'm just going to go in here. And I'm just rubbing around and putting, so I've got a little more on here. So that's that one. Now this time we're going to go into Mossy Meadow, but Mossy Meadow is truly darker than Old Olive. So since we're going into a darker color, I'm not going to contaminate Mossy Meadow with that little bit of Old Olive on there, nor do I have to brush this off. It's when you're going from dark to light that you have to really be careful. Now I'm just going to get a little of this because I know I don't want a ton of that. And I'm going to get a little bit of it off. Because I just want to put a few on one side here, just a little bit of Mossy Meadow. I'm not doing the whole leaf, I'm just doing part of the leaf. And you could just leave it one color too if you wanted. And get that one too. A little bit more. There we go. I think that will do it. Set that back over there because we're not done with that. And once again, I'm going to grab my, I'm going to do this first before I stick my hands or something in it. I'm going to peel this one back. Lift the stencil and we'll see what the magic brings. Very pretty, huh? Now, I'm not going to bother cleaning this at the moment because I am going to be using it again. So now we need number 3. So I'm going to line him up. And you're going to say, oh, it's going over it a little bit into the thing, but that's okay. So we got that, and we are going to be using Wild Wheat and Pecan Pie. And I'm going to use Pecan Pie, but we are going to use Pecan Pie very sparingly. I did do one with Crumb Cake. It was too light. So that's why I went with Pecan Pie. I'm setting it right there so I can actually grab some of it. And I'm just going to go in here and add like that. Like I said, I don't want it too dark. But now we're going from dark into a lighter again. So I'm going to brush off my brush, which is not bad, and clean off my block. It's just, you know, a repetition here a little bit, but the outcome is so gorgeous. So I'll pull this one off. And we have one more. Except I have something stuck to it. And it's this one, and this is going up here. Lining up everybody. There we go. Notice I haven't switched tape yet. I'm still using the same pieces of tape. And this time we're going to go in here with some wild wheat. And I know I need to add a little extra wild wheat to this. You want to go over this a couple times because you want to make sure that you get all of the little holes filled in. I want a little bit more. So I see I'm missing a couple holes here. Okay, and now we'll clean this off and we will reveal what we've got. Now we've got to do a couple more flowers. We know that. I'm going to show you another, not another way, but the other one we're not going to be taping them down. This time I'm pulling the tape off. Let's see what we've got. If I can lift it. There we go. There's our flowers. So we're just going to set that there. And lift this off very gently. And I'm going to gently... See, this is what I was afraid of. Watch your paper. We'll make it work. Watch your paper, especially with the tape. It pulled a little bit, but we'll make it work. It'll be fine. So there is the outside with the torn page, but we'll make it work. Okay. So we also know that we need, for the inside of our card, we need a flower, and we need a flower on the envelope. So here's another piece. This is another half sheet or quarter sheet. I started with the quarter sheet just like I did on the first one. And this is our envelope. So this time we're going to do both of these at the same time. We're going to put this flower here on here. And then we're going to put the small one on the envelope over here. So we're going to work both of them at the same time. So let me get the Pecan Pie out of our way because we don't need him at the moment. We do need to go back to our Cajun Craze. And you see how we've got little pieces here that we're going to, may accidentally hit. At this point, you want to grab some Post-its or something, paper, whatever. I've got some Post-its here. And what I want to do is just cover up that piece there. And this piece right here. Because we'll be moving these. So, and then you're going to hold it with your hand this time. I'm going to load up some Cajun here. go do the inside of our flower. Now this is the other way you can do this without using tape. That looks pretty good. So far, so good. You're saying, oh, she moved it. Now I'm going to come over here to our envelope with this small flower. Put this down. Cover up that piece this time. Hold it in place. Get a little more Cajun. And put that there. Now we're on that flower, so we might as well stick with this flower instead of moving it again. So I'm going to clean off this block. Do a little scrub out. Pumpkin pie. Use a different block when that one dries for a few minutes. Load this up with pumpkin pie. And we know we're probably going to need another one. Okay. Okay, we'll put a little pumpkin pie on this one. Okay, so that's that one so far. Now we're going to come back to this flower. Now you could go back and do one at a time. And they line up pretty easy. About like that. Cover up the pieces I don't want on there. Touch more pumpkin. That's good. Brush this off a little bit. Close up the pumpkin. I'm just going back and forth as I do this. And now we're ready to do some yellow Daffodil Delight. Like I said, if you had multiple brushes or whatever, you know, you don't have to think, now I move this, so I got to move it back. Like I said, you can see exactly where it lines up. Load this up again. That looks pretty good from here. Yep, not too bad. Now we're going to come back over to this one and get some daffodil on it. And he's going to line up right about like that. I'm going to cover that and this. Grab a little more daffodil. Okay. So that one's done with that one. Now, typically, number 2 would take you to leaves. And we are going to put a leaf on the inside of the card. But since I only need the inside portion, we're going to skip 3. Clean this off real fast. Ooh, that didn't look too pretty. So we need to do pumpkin pie and a little pumpkin pie on here. And so if you look at the shapes of these, here's the little one. You can actually see exactly where he goes. Now, I am not putting the mask on this because the other holes are far away that I know I'm not going to hit it. Get some pumpkin pie on here. That's enough pumpkin pie for that one. And this is the medium one. And it's going to go about like that. There's that one. And we'll brush this off real quick and get some wild wheat now. So I'm showing you one way you can tape it down, or you can hold it in place and move it around. Either way works. It's whatever you choose to do. The reason I'm just swapping blocks, letting the other ones dry, is because they've got a lot of water on them, and I don't want the water into my work. So now we need the... I've got to find the other one I had here. Here he is. Okay, so that's the medium one. So let's start with that one. And it goes right back there. And once again, the holes are quite a ways away, so if I'm very careful. There we go. The only reason I put it on the other ones is because the leaves were so close to what I was working on. What I'm doing is I'm just lining him up because I know he leans one way. And there's the envelope. So that means we got one more piece to do, and then we got some stamping. And yes, I have ink all over me today. Stenciling is not a clean project. And it does you good to get inky once in a while. You just need to be careful where you touch and that your hands are not wet with ink. So I want to, the envelope's fine and it's done. But this one, I want to put a leaf in here. And I want to put this large leaf. And I want to lay it off to the side about like that. Once again, I'm going to grab Old Olive and Mossy Meadow. I'm going to get a little of that Mossy Meadow off there. Like I said, if you have more brushes, you could use one for each color. I'm just showing you how to do it if you don't want to get all of them out or if you don't have them. So this is the Old Olive. This is how you get the ink on you. That's the Old Olive. And I just want a touch. Grab another block. Because Mossy Meadow is so dark. I just want a touch. Oop, I slid, but that's okay. You do need to hold it down tight. I slid a little bit, but he's blowing in the wind. We won't worry about him. So now we're done stenciling. Let's do some cutting and putting this card together. As soon as I do a little bit of cleanup. And my blocks look a little discolored, and they are right now. But they will be properly cleaned in some nice soapy water later. Okay, and I'm done, so I'm going to take and pull this aside. And my hands are so bad. Before I start, I'm going to take some hand sanitizer and wipe my hands off a little bit. And a paper towel, a clean paper towel. So that I know that I don't have anything on my fingers before I start cutting this white paper down. It's going to be stained for a while, but we all know what happens there. It's fine. Okay, so the other parts we have for this card, we have a card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and this is Cajun Craze. We have a two pieces of black, which are 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. These are 1/8 inch borders on this card. Nice small borders. One for the inside, one for the outside. That means we need to cut our two pieces down as soon as I find the one I stamped. I found the one we just did. Now I've got to find the one I did first. I set it somewhere safe. You know that, right? There it is. So we do need to cut these down. Let me grab my paper trimmer. Keeping in mind, I do have a little problem there at the top. So we need to go down. What did I say that was? This should be 4 1/4 or 5 1/4. So I'm going to start up here and cut right through that little piece there. We're going to take all of it. Normally I would take some off the top and bottom. But since I have that little torn piece, we'll have to do some mending on him. And then we need to be 4 inches wide. So that means we need to lose about 1/4 inch on each side. Well, not even 1/4, about 1/8. I'm going to take a little bit off here. And then come around here to 4. So you're going to lose a little bit on each side, but not much. Okay? But starting with a little bigger piece of paper gives you a place to hook things down. And this one you didn't really have to start with a bigger piece. I just happened to have it. I'm not going to take it from that side. I'm going to take it from this side. I actually like that swoosh, how it looks. And 5 1/4. Okay. Now we do need to do some stamping on our card. And I actually pulled in 2 stamp sets. I pulled in Something Fancy for Congratulations and Lasting Joy for May the Years Ahead Be Filled with Lasting Joy. So one is a photopolymer and one is red rubber. And we are going to stamp both of them in black. Make sure I've got it all good and covered. And I'm going to pop that right about there. Just like that. And don't need the mat again. This says congratulations. Now on one of mine, I don't know if you could seen that. One of my congratulations here looks different than this one. That's because I made a mistake. And I had to fix my mistake. So let's hope I don't make a mistake on this one. There. Because we already have one mistake up here to fix. Okay. So what to do with this torn piece? Oh dear. You know what? I just ripped it off. It's just one thin layer, and it's not that noticeable. And we won't put anything there to distract. So let's glue these down. Like I said, I've been working on these 2 bottles who are, I think we're going to have to give in. Hang on. I knew they were dying. They have been for the last week. So. We'll grab a new one. Now you really, if you look at that really hard, you can't even see where I tore that little piece of paper off. And, oh my gosh. Oh, don't do what I just did. I have a vertical card, but I put my verse and everything horizontal in my card. Oh dear. That's okay. I know who I'm going to send this to, and they will get a kick out of it. Was not intentional. Like I said, watch your directions. I did a vertical instead of horizontal. I did a horizontal instead of vertical. Oh well. It makes for an interesting conversation piece. I'm sure many of you have done something, you put something together, sat on a card, and had something upside down and stuff that you didn't intend to go that way, but it happens. So you want to do that vertically, not horizontally. Unless you are doing a vertical card, which you could. So there's our card. And then I thought I'd really needed a little something, but I didn't want a lot. So I grabbed the Iridescent Basic Pearls. And I just grabbed 3 of the small ones. Well, actually 1 big one. Put 1 big one and 2 small ones on this. Just to add a little bling to it. And so there is the envelope that goes with our card with our strange insides. So don't tell anybody, I won't. And we'll see what my friends say when they get that for their anniversary later this month. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you on Wednesday. I can show you the catalog on Wednesday. Goodbye.